I think Ashu mentioned this, but this is the former US Embassy. Has anybody actually been in this building before when it was the US Embassy? I actually ran into one person who vividly described what it was like to line up and get a US visa. There's been a lot of famous people, presidents, and other people that have been here before, and there are some telltale signs in this building. In fact, when we were in the meeting rooms, I realized that the doors actually don't open from the outside. They're very, very secure. In fact, all of you should feel incredibly safe to be in the bunker right now. The other thing that, the US has also left some signs behind that it was here. Anybody see the eagle at the top of the roof? And apparently this neighborhood was called Little America. That's what I discovered by asking ChatGPT a few questions about it. Also, it's also amazing to be back here in London. In fact, who was here in 2022 when we did our first Cultivate Europe? Yeah, I see a few people back there. That was actually done at the Shard. We were up at the top, looking down on London, and that was very special. This is the 5th time that we're actually doing this event in Europe, and it's just incredible to just reflect on how the world has changed since 2022, when we actually did this event for the first time. So in 2022, in the summer, when we did this event, something called ChatGPT had not been released in the world. Okay, so just take that into account for a second. The way that we lead our lives right now, by using this piece of technology every single day for various tasks within the workplace, within our personal lives, planning vacations, it didn't exist. So if you just reflect how much things have changed around us and how fast they're changing, everybody that was on stage over the course of this conference has been talking about agents. The word agent meant something completely different in 2022, right? It basically referenced humans. And now we talk about agents like they're an everyday thing. That's how far the world has come. And in fact, if you start to reflect what AI has given us access to, it is this concept of infinite minds. Now, I'm going to give you an example from my personal life, right? Which is, we have a dinner time tradition in my household. I have an 8-year-old and a 12-year-old. And we play trivia every time we sit down for dinner. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, and one of the proudest times I had in my childhood was when my parents bought me the World Book Encyclopedia. Anybody else did that here? Yeah? Yeah, there's a few people. That was before Google and search engines and all of these other technologies were invented, right? So that was my way of learning about trivial facts about the world. Of course, things changed very, very dramatically, so my reference points were obviously very, very dated, which was the edition of World Book that I had was my fact. Now, for the last several years, I've been playing this game with my kids, right? And as they've grown, they've started to challenge me on a few facts from time to time. And a new entrant has come to the table, right? Which is the voice mode on ChatGPT, trained with an Australian accent. Andy, I know you're sitting here somewhere. I don't know why we picked an Australian accent, but it just sounds cool. So this agent has been actually training my kids on various facts about the world. And most recently, they asked me a question, which was, what's the deadliest animal on Earth? Does anybody know the answer to this question? Yes, a few of you do. So, you've been leveling up on your knowledge as well. So this is something I didn't get trained on by the World Book, right? So I picked something like, basically a lion, which sounds ferocious, but it is correct. It is the mosquito. Anybody want to guess what the second most deadliest thing is? Say that again. Say it loudly. No, I think it's a dog. Yeah, it's the humble dog. More people actually get killed by dogs than jellyfish. But anyway, that is how fast the world is moving. And now when you start to apply this to your everyday lives, right? The way I operate as a product person now is dramatically different than when we met for the first time in 2022 in this forum. When I wake up in the morning, I have a chief of staff agent that actually prepares my notes for me, right? It actually reflects on the top advancements in the AI space, and it actually tells me why should I know about them. It frames it in terms of why is it important to me as the Chief Product Officer at Eightfold. So when I walk into a meeting with my boss, who was here a little bit earlier, I think you may have seen him, I actually sound a little smarter than I actually am. And that's the world that we're living in today, right? This technology is becoming indispensable to everything that we do. And in fact, in a lot of ways, this concept of the infinite workforce is becoming real every single day. You are seeing this world where, just like the Chief of Staff agent that I now have access to, each one of you has access to your own agents. Whether you're a recruiter, an HR BP, a manager, or regardless of what you do in the workplace, this is the future that we are all living in right now. The idea that we as humans will have all these agents that are able to do different tasks for us at work, effectively enabling this idea of the infinite workforce. That is the world that we are driving towards. Now, it is also a world where we as humans are not irrelevant. We're still at the center of this innovation. We're still the ones that are making judgments on how to use these agents, when to deploy them, and how to make sense of all the automation that they bring to the table. And that is a way that we are designing for the future of work. When you start to think about the future of work, we also have to think about what to automate, right? And you will see these principles being applied to all of the products that we are building at Eightfold. There are some tasks that are absolutely completely automatable. In the world that we live in today, for example, that Chief of Staff agent that I just described, there is no reason for me to go to a website, start to pull in context, start to build reports. There's no reason for me to do that anymore. That's an example of a task that is completely automatable. Then there are things that are augmentable, right? Which is the idea that, similar to what Eightfold brought to the market in the first place, the idea that we could go through millions of candidate records in a couple of seconds and bring you the candidates that matter for any role in the world. That's an example of an augmentable task that we have brought to market. And there are some things that are absolutely in the human domain. Now, we don't want to be in the business of agents making decisions on who to hire. That is still in your domain as our customers. We need to think about this from the perspective of every single thing that is being done at work and redesign the workforce for this. And today we're going to talk a little bit about how Eightfold is bringing innovation to how you should think about this as well within the context of your workforces. Now, we have been building for a moment where effectively the intelligence revolution is here, and thinking about how to build a platform that could allow you to benefit from all this advancement that's been happening. In 2016, we were the creators of the talent intelligence category. It's what many of you chose us for, to build that skills-based organization of the future. We brought this by organizing your data, connecting the dots between the different types of roles you were hiring for, the talent that you possessed, your internal talent, bringing this all together in a single platform. In 2020, we started to advance this beyond the talent acquisition vertical, which is where we first started out as a company, and expanded into talent management. In 2020, many of you were dealing with COVID. It was a situation where you needed to leverage your workforce towards new problems because your business had fundamentally changed overnight. In 2024, we continue to advance the platform by adding in the system of record layer for talent acquisition. Many of you have now adopted it and rolled it out globally across all the markets that you operate in. Last year, we entered the agentic space, and we brought together the AI interviewer solution to many of you. And that has continued to scale on our platform dramatically over the last few months. This year, we are moving into the world of giving you the tools to actually innovate on our platform. And Ashu mentioned this a little bit earlier today, and we're going to talk a little bit deeper about what can this actually mean for your organization in terms of building the next generation of software, the next generation of agentic capabilities within each of your organizations. But I want to start with where it all started for Eightfold, which was the talent acquisition vertical. It's the one that we have focused on the longest out of any of the parts of our portfolio. Now, there's one thing that's actually been a constant in the talent acquisition space, and it's been really, really hard for us to move. And that is the concept of the human-powered process, which is evaluating candidates once you have identified them, right? Regardless of all the AI innovation that has happened in the space over the last several years, it has been true that when it comes to evaluating who to hire, it's still a process that looks like this. Multiple stages of screening, hiring manager interviews, team interviews, final round interviews, and effectively months passing by as you make a decision on who to hire. And this has been something that has been dramatically difficult to shift in each of your organizations. And the reason for it is quite simple. Humans are the weak link, right? When it comes to all of the things that we need to do to actually evaluate this talent. We as humans have architected these processes for human scale. And this has been something that it's been fundamentally difficult to move in the talent acquisition space. Now, what's really interesting about this is that since the last year, we have started to reimagine the world of talent acquisition for agent scale. So we tackled the interview process quite simply because that was where recruiters and hiring teams were spending a majority of their time any given week. We brought to the table these remarkable agentic capabilities, conversational AI that was able to have real-time conversations with your candidates, the ability to automate these conversations with workflow automation, the intelligence in these conversations to react to any types of questions that would come up during these conversations, where these agents were programmed to stay within guardrails and have deep conversations with your candidates. And then also the ability to bring trust, safety, and fairness into the equation, right? So the ability for these agents to validate, is it the right human that they're speaking to? Is that same human showing up at the later rounds of the interview process? Or is it potentially a North Korean operative, which has actually happened to some of our clients? And we did this across many communication mediums. The first version of this technology that some of you saw was actually a phone call where we tried to replicate the recruiter phone screen. We quickly ended up going into a different direction on that technology. We also have the ability to orchestrate this over text message, over email, over Teams and Slack. So expanding the course of these use cases to internal talent as well. And across all of this, we have now built platform capabilities that could potentially allow us to apply this to all the phases of recruiting. So whether it's the intake process, the sourcing process where you connect with new candidates and engage them and encourage them to apply to jobs, the offer process where you're actually orchestrating an offer, and the onboarding process as well in terms of getting a candidate to day one at the company. All of these in the future are possible using this technology. So last year when we launched the AI interviewer, we obviously started out with replicating what humans were doing when it came to the recruiter phone screen. And we brought this to many of our clients, giving them the ability to do agentic hiring at infinite scale for the first time. No longer were you limited by the 40-hour work week that the recruiters have to adhere to. No longer were you limited by the fact that you could only have one conversation at a time as a human. You could use this in a trusted way across the Eightfold platform. And many of our clients actually adopted this technology over the last several quarters. And we have seen, this is just, by the way, a few examples of companies that have been using the solution across the globe. We have seen a world in which more than half of these interviews are actually happening outside of the business hours, right? Outside of the business week. Nights and weekends is when candidates like to talk to the agents the most. We have seen a world in which when a candidate gets a request to complete an interview, they actually complete it within 1 day. And we've seen a world in which the candidates are incredibly satisfied with these agents as well. In fact, when we give them the option of saying that they can talk to a human, right, in the context of having that conversation, only about 2% of candidates actually opt for talking to a human. So I know there was a little stat that was shared that 40% of candidates only want to talk to humans, but in the context where they're actually faced with that real choice in a real-time fashion with the technology, 98% of people are actually opting for the agent. That's what we're seeing in true practice today. Now, what we also realized in bringing this technology to the world is that in a lot of ways, the screening use case was simply the agent on training wheels, right? The agent was starting to mature in its own way. Its capabilities were starting to grow. And we found out that the agent was trainable in not just the screening conversation, but a lot of different other kinds of conversations. We have now been able to train these agents to assess skills, to do coding interviews, to do whiteboarding interviews, to pair with hiring managers and actually collect data in the context of two humans communicating, to do deep functional screens, and do a lot of other things in between as well. These agents are now able to basically accomplish a lot of the tasks that human interviewers would. So that is why it's super, super exciting for us to take the technology forward with the 360 interview. The 360 interview is a paradigm shift in agentic interviewing. It is about being able to capture the context of the candidate in a front-loaded fashion, which was not possible before with the previous generation. So instead of me just describing it in words, I would like to show it to you in practice. So let's roll the first video.
In just 60 minutes, get a comprehensive 360-degree evaluation that delivers stronger signal for every hire. Let's experience 360 Interview by Eightfold. Candidates can start their interview at any time, directly from the invite.
Welcome to the Eightfold 360 interview.
Before getting started, the AI interviewer walks the candidate through the interview flow, starting from profile screening, technical competency, a short coding round, and finally, whiteboarding. Once ready, the candidate can get started. System checks and identity verification help ensure a smooth and secure interview experience. Once completed, candidates can join the interview.
Hi, Emily. I'm Elena, your AI interviewer. To get started, could you walk me through your background and what interested you in this role?
I've spent the last 5 years building scalable backend systems and leading platform reliability.
Great. Next, we'll move into a technical competency interview, where we'll explore your understanding of technical concepts and problem-solving approach. To get started, can you walk me through a technical challenge you recently worked on and how you approach solving it?
Recently, I worked on improving the scalability of a backend service that was experiencing latency issues.
Great. Next, we'll move into a coding section.
Once the AI interviewer presents a coding problem, Emily can begin coding and interact naturally with the AI interviewer. Throughout the interview, automated integrity checks help ensure a fair and secure evaluation experience. Once Emily has completed the coding round, she can take a break or proceed with the system design exercise. As Emily collaborates on the whiteboard, the AI interviewer follows her inputs in real time to better understand her thinking and approach. Based on Emily's responses and whiteboard activity, the AI interviewer can dynamically ask follow-up questions to explore decisions, reasoning, and problem-solving in greater depth.
You have successfully completed the interview.
From retail associates to financial analysts to forklift operators, AI-powered 360 Interview adapt to every role. Built to scale, 360 Interview deliver comprehensive and trustworthy evaluations, helping organizations hire faster with confidence.
So the interesting thing about that, thank you. The interesting thing about that is that it leads to a better candidate experience, because in this case, the candidate does not have to wait for all these rounds of interviewing to happen to be able to put their hat in the ring and actually be considered for the interview, for the role that they're interviewing for. It's also less complexity on the organization, right? Because instead of architecting these multi-round interview processes, you can collapse a bunch of these rounds into a single conversation. And it's also the ability for us to get you that hire faster. In fact, we are moving from a world in which the before of these multi-round interviews is effectively transformed into something that looks like what it does on the right-hand side of the screen, which is you can consider way more candidates than you did before. You can get to the few that you basically take to human interview rounds, also, by the way, paired with AI, and then make decisions faster. I think Ashu in his session talked about the fact that we have some customers that are actually making decisions in one day. We have lots of customers that are making decisions within a week. And that is a world that we are super, super excited to bring to each and every one of you. as you start to engage with some of this technology. So really, what are we trying to do here? We are trying to bring the 360 interview in a way where you can apply the infinite workforce to your talent acquisition teams. These agents paired with your recruiters, basically getting you to hiring outcomes faster and still employing humans where humans are best, which is to exercise human judgment on who to hire. It's just the way that we can make the entire process faster and higher quality. Now, we're not just thinking about applying the infinite workforce to just your talent acquisition teams. We're also thinking about how do we apply it to the lives of every single one of your employees. And to talk about that, I'd like to invite our co-founder and CTO, Varun Kacholia, up on stage.
All right. So first of all, hi everyone. My name is Varun Kacholia. I'm the CTO and co-founder at Eightfold. Before I get started, actually, I really want to thank all of you for continuing to partner with us as we innovate, bring new products, and then as you deploy these in your organization. I know many of you have been with us on this journey for a long periods of time, and thank you very much. So when we started Eightfold almost 10 years ago, as Ashu mentioned in the morning as well, that little were we familiar with all the different HR processes. What we did know was we can apply AI to all aspects of talent journey. From a candidate looking at the career side of your organization, trying to guess across thousands of different jobs which might be the right role for me, to a recruiter being asked to generate a pipeline of qualified candidate a day after the rec is open, to finally an employee trying to navigate alternative career options in your organization before they find the same role that they have been in a different organization. And I know many of you have seen with Eightfold products all these things come to life. Our career site continues to be one of the most delightful experiences, and I personally received the messages from many different candidates on how smooth the experience is. And with internal mobility, we saw the numbers in the morning too. The numbers speak for the impact, where you have more than 4 or 5% more people who are staying within the organization than the one who are actually choosing to find a role outside your organization. And at scale, this is a huge, huge improvement for all of you. But since then, especially in the last 2 years, AI has evolved meaningfully. Sachit showed agents which are no longer about just recommending or assisting. These are truly multimodal, multilingual, intelligent, human-scale agents. He didn't show how some of our AI interviewer agents can actually switch language, can communicate across over a dozen different languages. And Eightfold, as of today, we support over 42 languages for our customers that are truly global in nature. And we keep getting asked for more languages that we have been adding. So these languages are not just the UI. The UI is a simpler bit at this point, but these languages are also the AI, which is continuously work in progress. So, given all the advances in AI, one of the top questions I know we have discussed today, all day, and is on the mind of every CEO and every leader here is, what is our talent strategy in the age of AI? One of the CHROs reached out to me, and they said that, Varun, my CEO got back from Davos, and AI was all over the map in this year's Davos. They attended all the different sessions. They came back, and they said, where are we on adopting AI within your organization? What is our AI talent strategy? How are we measuring it? And how are we making progress on this? And this is a question I myself get asked within Eightfold as an engineering leader as well. Varun, how is engineering using AI agents and able to do things that we were not able to do before? How are we delivering this value to our customers? And how are you tracking it? And many of you, just like me, we might think that, oh, we need to go through an AI transformation process. We have done transformations in the past. But this one, I feel, is much different, is much more harder for 3 reasons. First, many of us, not just in engineering, not just in product, but across all different functions, we don't have a way yet to measure the impact of AI, the modern agents, across all the work that we are doing. Second, the AI capabilities are continuing to improve. I know many of you must have heard some of the foundational model companies say that AI is on an exponential. Very recently, there was discussion around AI self-improving, and is AI getting to a place where it can update its own models, own code, and create better models? And the third, I feel this one is the, a very critical one. We do not yet have a playbook. All the previous transformations, whether it was the cloud transformation, the application transformation, the internet transformation, they all had a playbook that was applied by some consultant, some firm out there that was brought to all of us and said, yep, this has been done multiple times before, and now it can be applied to you. But AI playbook does not exist yet. And even if someone were to build an AI playbook, because of the evolution, because of the improvement in models, this playbook will get outdated very quickly. And I believe Eightfold as a platform that Sachit showed earlier as well, we have the right foundation to help operationalize this transformation on a continuous basis, not one time. Because AI capabilities are improving, and that is the product that we have built. But before I get to the product, I want to talk about the foundational components that we have that many of you have deployed and are using it. The first piece, Eightfold understands every single role across many, many industries very well. We have exposed this data through market insights, where for every single role, you can go and understand the skills associated with the role. You can understand the skills that are declining, the skills that are growing, the skills that are in demand, and the distribution of skills across geographies. Using this data, many of you have built your role library, where you have taken the roles in your organization, and for the first time, define what are the skills that are associated with these roles, what are the competencies for each skill that are required for this role. And from there, try to untangle some of the messiness that existed today, where who are the right team members who should be associated with this role. Once this data is in place, this really lights up across the entire Eightfold talent platform. A very simple example is on the talent acquisition side. Now, when a new rec is created, all the skills that are associated with the role of the rec, they show up in the intake process, they show up in the interview process, they show up in the feedback process seamlessly. The same goes for talent management as well. The same for each role, for each team member in your organization, they can now see very well what are the skills that are required for this role, what are the competencies for each skill that is expected out of this role. And if they want to pick a different role to grow into or to laterally move into, they can see the delta from where they are today. And all of this exists today. Finally, all this can be rolled up And as a leader or as a hiring manager, you can see across your team what are the skills that my team has, what are the gaps that are in my team, and how can I grow different team members across the board to meet my needs. So the next step for us is how do we operationalize the evolution of current set of skills and competencies to the future needs as part of AI transformation. And for us, workforce readiness is almost like an operating system that really helps you continuously operationalize measurement, actionability of your AI transformation. So let me play the video, and then I will walk through step by step how this product works.
Is your organization truly ready for AI? Bridge the gap and empower your team for the future with Eightfold's Workforce Readiness. CHROs can now gain instant clarity, tracking high-level metrics like AI adoption and productivity potential. To move from strategy to action, the CHRO delegates data collection to the business, using AI interviewers to identify exactly where there's room to grow. The HRBP activates the AI interviewer to engage directly with employees, replacing subjective surveys with objective conversational data on real-world AI usage. Employees receive a personalized invitation to participate in the assessment.
Hey, Sarah. I'm conducting conversations with folks on your team to determine where best to leverage AI within your function. This should be a quick chat about your week. Ready?
Yeah, sounds good. I'm ready.
Great. Think back over the last week. As a CSM, which accounts were you focused on?
Let me think about that. Mainly Acme Corporation and Top Inc.
What specific activities did you perform on those accounts?
For Acme, I ran a QBR. Honestly, I spent hours just hunting through 3 different systems to find usage data, and then copy-pasting it into slides. It feels like I'm a data entry clerk rather than a CSM. Then, for Top Inc., I was stuck manually formatting an enhancement request all afternoon.
What AI tools are you currently using to perform these tasks?
I'm not using any yet. I'm still doing all the heavy lifting myself, formatting, cross-referencing, and building these decks from scratch. It's a massive time sink.
Based on the interview data, the platform instantly generates a personalized development plan for Sarah. To ensure success, the plan includes an integrated AI coach to provide personalized guidance and support as the employee masters new AI skills.
Let's take something concrete from your new development plan. One of the key goals is leveraging AI to streamline your quarterly business reviews. Walk me through your current process for preparing those.
It's a very manual process right now. I spend a lot of time pulling usage data from different systems and then building out the slides one by one. It's hard to find time for the actual account strategy.
That makes sense. The goal is to move those repetitive data tasks to Claude. It can aggregate that usage data and draft your initial slides, allowing you to focus your energy on the strategic recommendations. I've added a specific play to your library, Strategic QBRs with Claude for CSMs. Click the link to see how to get started.
The result? An enterprise-wide surge in AI adoption. From here, the CHRO can trigger new assessments to target different departments or evolving skills, ensuring the workforce stays fully equipped for the AI era.
So next, I want to walk through the 3 key steps as part of our workforce readiness product. The first is a dashboard that now provides true measurability of AI potential or AI productivity that can be achieved in your organization. A measurement that can evolve as your team members pick up new skills, as different tasks get augmented or automated, and even as AI models improve and can do new things. And this is the first step. As part of this, the important gap that we all have is which of our team members have adopted AI, what are the challenges they are running into. And now, for the first time, a true agent scale communication can happen with every single team member to understand what they are doing, where they are struggling. And finally, make this actionable. Every single organization, every single team here has adopted the AI tools that work best for you. You have built this or you have implemented this in your organization based on what is your need. Connecting the dots here between what team members are doing and how they can do things a lot more effectively is the agentic coach that uses your content, your library, your tools to get the organization upskilled on AI. And this is the flywheel. As the team understands and uses AI tools more effectively, now every single CHRO, every single leader can more confidently report what is the AI potential, what is the AI improvement that we are seeing. As the models improve, the tasks that team members are doing, now some of those tasks, maybe they can be augmented by the newer model capabilities as well. So this is workforce readiness. This, I feel, is possible because it is built on top of the talent intelligence platform. You can really see how it leverages all the data that we have built so far that you have deployed as part of Eightfold. And it is the next evolution for talent management that we are excited to announce today. So, switching gears, the next product that I want to talk about is Talent Forge. Ashu covered this in the morning, and this one is one that I am super excited about because I'm a builder at heart, and I enjoy building software. For the first time, I feel this ability for anyone here to build software is becoming extremely accessible, and I want to talk more about it. So before we get into it, I just figured that we can walk through the entire process of buying software and deploying software that has existed for give or take few decades now. The first step all of us would do, and I buy a lot of software for our teams as well, is we would compare the features. We'll get a list of features from each vendor, and then we'll try to kind of make sense of them. We'll prioritize that, yeah, this one is more important for our team, and this is what this particular vendor provides. Usually, none of the vendors would cover all the features that are required for you. So you'd pick. Once you pick, once you design, once you decide, sign the contract, then you'll go through the phase of designing how to implement this software. A few quarters would go in the loop, designing, implementing, validating. One day, you'll decide, as global organization, how am I going to roll this software? It's like, yeah, maybe we'll pick business unit, we'll pick a geography, and we'll roll it out. Once you are done rolling it out, you might realize it has been almost a year or maybe a few years since we decided to buy this software. The world has moved. Our organization's needs have changed. So yes, we have implemented the software that we wanted to buy a few years ago, but it is no longer perfect for our need as of today. And maybe the best analogy for this is the software that is implemented today is a square peg trying to fit a round hole. But something has changed in the last 1 year, and that is building software has changed. And what this means is the cycle time to update software, not configure software, can be done in weeks or in days. An 8-year-old can build a video game, and there was probably a few hours that they described it and it got built. Yes, enterprise software needs to be a lot more robust, secure, compliant. But yeah, within few weeks, months, this is doable. So if everyone can build software, if all software is built on generic data and generic intelligence, that will not capture what makes your organization really successful. What makes the teams in your organization really successful? There are nuances that each of you have that make you successful than others in different industry or even in the same industry. And that is the nuance I feel Talent Forge unlocks and allows all of you to build on top of the agentic capabilities that now exist. So, I want to show a video of how some of these capabilities can be built, and then I will spend a few minutes geeking out on the technical details of how the system supports building all of this, along with covering the examples from today morning on how these things were built by some of our customers. So let's roll the video.
Every enterprise has unique needs for their talent experience, but turning those ideas into reality, that usually takes a while. Mostly months, sometimes years, and it is expensive. But what if that wait simply disappeared? What if building a solution was as easy as describing it? Introducing Eightfold AI's Talent Forge, a new way to build, experiment, and launch talent solutions instantly. Whether it's a talent management workflow, a reimagined hiring experience, or even a completely new product for your needs, it starts with just a few lines of intent. Plug Eightfold into the AI tool your team already use, type what you need, and watch it come to life. Build the future of talent experience now with Eightfold Talent Forge.
So, now I want to cover behind the scenes of how this is working. And really, this architecture has 3 layers. At the bottommost layer is our talent intelligence platform. This is the layer that we have really invested the most over the last 10 years. This is the layer that provides the right security, the right governance, scalability, and also responsible AI. Something that we built it very, very thoughtfully from early on in our journey. The second layer is the one that we have added now and we have extended, is really the layer of intelligence APIs and MCPs. Now, most vendors provide APIs, and we have also provided APIs till now. What's different about the APIs that we have exposed now is these APIs can be used for building user-facing products. Most other APIs are meant for machine-to-machine communication, but here, if there is a user that is using a product, then all the permissions, all the compliance, auditability, and the intelligence will be applied with the right context of that user. And that is a game changer for building different applications. The third layer is truly the layer of products. Some of the products we have built today that many of you have configured and deployed, whether it is talent acquisition, talent management, AI agents, and more. The empty box is for the new applications that you would build, that you would imagine and bring it to life. And there is one more thing that I want to point out here. This new application that you might want to imagine is not just limited to use Eightfold's data, Eightfold's infrastructure. You can build it, and for the first time, you can pull data across multiple different systems in a single unified way to provide the experience that you have long desired to provide, whether it is for your hiring managers, for your employees that have to bounce between the different HR applications. This is now possible, all powered by Eightfold's talent platform and the APIs along with the other infrastructure that we have exposed. So I'll cover a few example applications as well. And one of the most common asks that I get from our customers is, hey, Varun, how can we build a Teams application for our team members in our organization? So the customers who are on Microsoft, some of them have been trying to consolidate the conversation and the experience around Teams. Now, there are vendors out there that provide a standard cookie-cutter Teams or Slack application. But with TalentForge, now you can build an application within Teams, within Slack, that you want, in the way that you want, using data from Eightfold, using the intelligence from Eightfold, as well as pulling the data from other places, in a secure, scalable, compliant way. The next application is the one that Norman covered today morning around reimagining performance management. And we conduct performance management at Eightfold as well, and I know it's a cumbersome process where we ask team members to go to multiple different systems. There are questions that are marked explicitly that, hey, this question is not for you. This question is for a different team, because our performance management system could not be configured to have custom experiences by role, by function, by department, by geography. There are limitations. For the first time, now this application was built in a matter of 2 months by leveraging TalentForge APIs that are exposed, by leveraging the other data from the rest of the systems outside Eightfold, bringing it all together in a single, unified, customizable experience across functions, across departments, across geographies. And that is the future that we can unlock, going beyond configurations to building things that you want to imagine. So, how does this work? And I just want to briefly touch upon this. TalentForge really needs 2 things. The first is the human expertise. People who are imagining, this can be you, of what experience should be built. And second, a group of people who will bring this to life. In some cases, some of our customers have internal engineering teams who can use our APIs, MCP to build it. In other cases, our customers come to us that, hey, you have the experts, you have the engineers who can build this, who are most familiar with not only your platform, but also other platforms in HR that my organization uses. Pair it with HR domain expert, security expert, and now combine it with all the different platforms, Eightfold platform and some other platforms, to bring your application to life. We have done this ourselves and with a few other customers as well. And I want to invite Meghna, our Chief People Officer, to describe how Eightfold, as Customer Zero, has truly deployed the different innovation that we have announced today, from 360 interview to workforce readiness and TalentForge. Please, Meghna, come on the stage.
Sachit and I are going to do this together.
So I don't know, the customers that are here in the audience, right? I don't know if you knew that I have this superpower that I'm going to reveal today, which is, I know many of you have actually partnered with us on new products that we have taken to market, right? You've been the first customer to take a new product, build it with us, and take it to market. But we only have one Customer Zero, and that's Meghna. So Meghna, what is Customer Zero?
Yeah. Well, as Customer Zero, we get to eat our own dog food, drink our own champagne. We get to do a lot of that stuff. But it's such a privilege, such an honor, such a great responsibility and partnership, because we are able to use the products that Eightfold is building internally for our own usage. And we learn so much from that transformation that we are driving with the products. And to be honest, And you're able to feed that all back into the product, all the learnings internally. And the questions I believe that people have here in the room are the same questions that me and my team have internally as well, which is around what ROI is this AI technology really driving for us? What are we really going to gain out of it? How do we really drive AI transformation internally? And so to be able to use it, I'm also really focused on how do we really create an AI transformative workforce, a really AI native workforce, and it's amazing to see our product really empower us to do that.
Awesome. Let's talk about talent acquisition for a second, because I know we covered some of the new innovation we're bringing to the market with the 360 interview, but Eightfold has been actually interviewing every single candidate that we are looking to hire using our AI interviewer platform for 9 months at this point. We're the first company that did that. As customer zero, you took it to market. Tell us about that.
Yeah. I was a bit scared initially, I have to be honest. When I saw the technology and I saw the interaction, it wasn't really easy. And I had the same questions that a lot of people here in the room would have as an HR professional. Can I really put, initially I would think a bot in front of people and to have the conversation. But I'll be honest, it really surprised me. And it surprised me because my team's expertise were really amplified and elevated in the process rather than just only being focused on, obviously we were gaining a lot of productivity gains, but it was them being able to use their expertise in a very different way was the one that really, really helped me kind of get comfortable with it. And there are quite a few, actually I can point out a few examples that I think people would be interested in knowing as well, is that, so first of all, I realized that once we put the AI interviewer out there, my team will send out interview requests on Friday. Monday morning, we come back, and many of the interviews are done. And so to our surprise, what we realized that interviewers or candidates really want to talk to an AI interviewer at the time when they are available, and not necessarily be at the mercy of a scheduler, the hiring manager, the recruiter, everybody coming together and kind of finding that perfect time, which may not fit into their regular schedule, right? Think of a single dad, for example, or a single mom, or anybody who's just kind of, travels a lot, or whatever that may be. But it's not just that. Interviewers want to do this when they feel their best as well. So we got the best out of the candidates at that time. I mean, as an AI company, as you know, we hire a ton of engineers. And this AI talent is so difficult to find. There's really a war outside for this talent. And we reach out to the best of the universities available outside or across the globe, and we hire from those universities. For our engineers and product leaders, for our tech talent, initially, what we were able to scale to about 7, 8, 10 universities across the globe. And to my surprise, especially for this high-volume hiring area, we were able to go to 150 plus universities, which I could have never imagined with my small TA team. And how much time will we spend with our hiring managers, kind of them going and interviewing candidates as well? Because what we would rather want is those engineers spending time coding than actually going to these universities, traveling with us, and essentially, interview. And it went from, 15,000 to some, 150,000 candidates. And the 360, being able to sort of interview people, with the coding interviews, I think we got done about 3,000 coding interviews in a period of 7 days. So all of that really helped our engineers, helped our talent internally focus on the right areas. Obviously, bandwidth, was no longer a constraint anymore. It really helped. And I'm sure you're interested in knowing what we discovered with the candidate, because that really fed into the process too. We all realized that there could be a ton of productivity gains, but one thing that none of us can really compromise on is the candidate experience in itself. And to my surprise, a lot of the candidates told us how natural it felt to communicate with the AI interviewer. Obviously, it wasn't like that day one, and I know you guys worked on it and really got it better, and a lot of the feedback from our recruiters and TA team really fed into that. So we, the scheduling friction was all gone. I think the most important thing I felt was at the time when you really see human stories, and the human stories were very much around, the story that came in front of me was we had one of our hiring managers doing an interview with a candidate and a woman, and she's interacting, just answering the questions, talking to the AI interviewer, and I think we called our AI interviewer Ava. And all of a sudden, we didn't even know she had a little baby, and she picked up the baby, held the baby, and really pacified the baby. And a little bit later, just having the conversation, and then put the baby back in the bassinet. And I thought about it for a moment. I don't think, like when you're talking to a human, you would ever be able to do that. Because so much of bias kicks in at that time. Like, how is this person really going to judge me? What are they really going to think of me? But when you're talking to an AI interviewer, you don't have to worry about any judgment, any bias. You're just being yourself, and you're just having a conversation with them. And I think those are the kind of moments where we felt, and even with the feedback from the candidates, that how amazing it is to work on technology that had that kind of impact on people, where now all of a sudden the interview anxiety has gone down, and you can really just, talk, and you know that you will be evaluated on the actual skills that the humans bring to the table, rather than, being judged or being looked at differently when people talk to you.
So in some ways, the agents can actually make the candidates more human.
Absolutely, and I feel that this is what agent-scale recruiting really looks like as well.
So I do want to ask you a question about how do you build an AI-native workforce at an AI company? Because I know a lot of folks are interested in that question.
So, one thing that we realize that I mentioned this earlier this morning as well, that AI transformation is not necessarily so much of a technology challenge, but it's more of a leadership challenge, and then also a change management challenge. And the more we rolled out our internal tools and products into the company, we realized that people are adopting this, or our employees are adopting this faster when they get to play with it a lot more, or when they understand how it really works. And so we then started to, and in fact, to be honest, like a lot of the interesting use cases came from our employees, to you directly as well. And so what we started to do was consistently invite them to use our own products and technology as well. So some of the examples of that could be, we have a digital twin that we use internally. And so employees are able to ask questions of each other's digital twin to rely on their expertise. So such as whether or not you're available, and I need to know, if a feature exists, or when is it going to roll out, or there's a bug in the system. Obviously, I can just ask your digital twin, and I get the responses. So we do that a lot. The second thing we really did, we have this project called Project Andromeda internally, which was literally about taking use cases from different parts of the organization, whether it was within a function or cross-functional, and then taking a step back, redesigning some of those processes and with AI, so that we can re-engineer some of the work. And that literally led to I think about 4,500 hours saved across the company, which was pretty impressive. Hackathons is another example. Being a tech company, obviously, we do a ton of hackathons, and just the last one that happened about 7 to 8 months ago, we were able to take on, I think, launched about 48 or such projects, and then I was very actually surprised and impressed both together to see that all 48 made into production because they were such high quality delivered, right? And then how can I not mention Talent Forge? Like, Ashu talked about it, Varun, you all talked about it. It was a really proud moment to see when my own team was able to initially start with vibe coding and start developing HRIS. We would have never imagined that would happen. But that is all really, a mix of essentially, taking then the learnings from all of this, putting them back into the development plans for our people. And as you know, actually, I'm so proud to say across Eightfold, being able to do all that and using the growth development plan for people, we have such beautiful internal mobility stories. We have an immigration specialist that was on my team who then moved to Nav's team as a social media leader. We have a recruiter who then moved to the growth office, and there's so many such stories we have internally that really help basically come out of our talent management solutions as well. So, just one last thing I would say on this topic is that you could gain so many different skills and you can come with so many different expertise, but in the age of AI, it has been truly fascinating to see when humans are able to display their curiosity, their learning agility, their risk-taking capabilities, their willingness to adapt to things really quickly. And these are the kind of skills what we are realizing through our own technology and the usage of that technology, that people who are really good at this are the ones who would be successful in the future with AI as well.
Any other final takeaways to share with the audience? I know you just shared one.
I shared one. Yeah, I'm just going to quickly wrap up with a few takeaways that we've had in the process. I think one thing that is most important is just start before you're ready. There's never going to be a perfect moment when the technology is ready, when the board is ready, executives are all aligned, and everything is in place. We will never be able to reach that. So you just have to dive in and just start working with it for it to kind of go better. The second thing I would say is the narrative really drives the adoption. When we first, for example, launched AI Interviewer externally or to our candidates, what we realized was that people were hesitant to essentially use it because they were not used to really talking to an agent like that. But when we humanize the communication to our people, that's when they kind of embraced it a lot more. So your narrative really will drive adoption, so really focus on that storytelling with your people. And then trust is earned. It cannot be deployed. It's really important for people to understand how the technology works. I kid you not, our employees ask us so many tough questions. How is my data being used? How is the decision-making really happening? When do you have a human in the loop and when do you not? And so being able to, taking this seriously and then being able to explain it to your people how it works, I think is the number one way to drive that trust with with any sort of AI technology for that matter. And then the final I would say is, it's honestly the time for HR to lead from the front and not really sit on the sidelines. Because AI is moving so fast, the technology is moving at an incredibly fast pace. So the future is going to be different, we all know that. But at this time, if the HR leaders are not really able to lead from the front, the future will still change. Things will still be different, the roles will still be different, but it's going to be missing a very important factor, and that's to keep the people in mind when we build this technology. So it's really time for our HR leaders to grab that seat at the table and work with our CTOs, our CPOs, our CIOs, and everyone to understand how this works and really make it happen. And that's why I love our partnership so much, Sachit and Varun as well.
Thank you for sharing your insights with our customers and for the partnership all along the way.
Absolutely.
So I did want to take a minute to just quickly summarize what you just saw in terms of innovation, right? We brought the concept of the infinite workforce to your talent acquisition team with the 360 interview. The ability to front load the interview process and basically collect a lot more data about your candidates than was ever possible before. And then we brought forward the concept of workforce readiness to basically get your workforce ready for the age of AI, the ability to assess them and the ability to help them with AI adoption across the entire company. And then finally, We know that the age of AI is going to take new software, new tools, new agents, and that's what Talent Forge is about. So we're super excited to bring all these innovations to your company, and we look forward to partnering with you. Thank you.